Mom sided with stepdad and his kids, kicked me out, but they forgot that I own the house. Now it's time to take it back. Hey everyone, I'm here because I'm completely blindsided and desperate for some perspective. I never thought I'd be writing this, especially not about my own mother, but here we are. I grew up in the little ranch-style house on Oakwood Drive. It's the only home I've ever really known. My mom bought it 20 years ago, back when she was starting her career as a graphic designer. She worked her tail off, paid off the mortgage early, and made that place ours. When I was in college, I put down my own name on the deed so I could get a tax break and build credit. Mom didn't hesitate. She was proud. She told me it was my legacy and that one day it'd be mine outright. I never questioned it. Fast forward to 2 years ago, Mom remarried. Enter stepdad and his 3 kids, who, while nice enough, completely upended our quiet life. At first, I tried to be the cool, big sibling, helping with homework, coaching them in soccer, even letting them borrow my car on weekends. But stepdad had other ideas. He insisted his kids deserved a bigger room, more privacy, and so on. Mom, eager to keep the peace, agreed. It started small. I was asked to move my home office into the garage. Then, when I complained that the heat never worked out there, they told me I was being ungrateful. Before I knew it, I was welcome only on weekdays. Weekends were family time. Then one Saturday morning, stepdad calmly handed me a printed letter. You have 30 days to vacate. No warning, no discussion. Just that. I was crushed. I spent that month in a haze, sleeping on friends' couches, scavenging leftovers, and staring at that house every time I drove by. I tried everything, pleading with mom, negotiating with stepdad, even offering to pay rent. I reminded them I'd grown up there, that my things were still in the attic, that this was my home too. They wouldn't budge. Mom said, "This is what's best for my new family." And just like that, I was out. At first, I felt powerless, like a ghost haunting the place I'd built my life around. But then, amid all the pain, something clicked. I remembered the paperwork from college, the deed, the mortgage statements, the tax filings. I still had copies in my email. So one rainy afternoon, I dug them up and, holy hell, my name was still on the title. Every bit of equity in that house was legally mine. Mom and stepdad had no claim. Not one. My heart pounded. All those late nights I spent paying down that mortgage, my payments, my name. How had I let them steamroll me? How had they forgotten that I owned the house? It felt like discovering a secret weapon I'd carried all along, but never realized I had. Of course, owning the deed and living there are 2 different battles. But the more I thought about it, the more I realized I couldn't just roll over. Some folks online urged me to consult a property attorney immediately and file an injunction. Others whispered that I should quietly gather proof of the eviction notice's illegality before making any move. Both sounded smart, but I was too furious to sit still. I wanted action. That's when I stumbled on something even stranger, a secondary deed, and signed, in my mom's handwriting, like she tried to transfer ownership to stepdad but never completed the process. It was tucked away in an old file folder, half-filled, missing her signature page. Had she changed her mind? Or had stepdad sabotaged it? My mind raced. If that document were genuine, it meant mom had intended to give the house away behind my back. If it was forged, it meant stepdad had been plotting this for months. I decided I needed proof. So I reached out to a title company under a fake name, posing as a prospective buyer, and asked for a full chain of title report. When it arrived in my mailbox, addressed to Ms. Jordan Blake, it confirmed my name as the sole legal owner, with no transfers recorded. My hands shook as I read it. I still owned the house, lock, stock, and barrel. That night, I sat in my friend's living room, clutching the title report like a lifeline. I could feel the adrenaline coursing through me, part fear, part exhilaration. This wasn't just about reclaiming a house. It was about standing up to the people who'd betrayed me the worst. But here's the thing. I'm not sure what to do next. Some say I should serve them an eviction notice of my own. Others warned that escalating this could ruin my relationship with my mom forever. A few suggested I try mediation, like I'm going to sit down for tea and talk it out after everything they did. I'm torn between a clean, legal approach and a more dramatic showdown. Tomorrow, I'm heading to a lawyer's office to get the ball rolling. I've got my title report, the eviction letter from stepdad, and that half-signed deed in my pocket. I plan to ask for an injunction to prevent mom and stepdad from selling or mortgaging the property. After that, who knows? I might change the locks, I might force them out, or I might settle for a financial arrangement. All I know is that I can't let them treat me like an afterthought in my own home. I'll keep you all posted as things unfold. Right now, I'm equal parts terrified and exhilarated. This house was supposed to be my legacy. It's time I start acting like I own it. When I logged back into Reddit to post part 1, I braced myself for a flood of opinions, and I wasn't disappointed. Scrolling through the thread, I saw everything from, "You need to sue them yesterday," to "Maybe they just forgot you had equity." One voice stood out. "Don't underestimate the power of documentation. Email every conversation and save every receipt." I realized I'd been operating on gut alone, and they were right. So I created a dedicated folder in my email titled House Battle, where I began forwarding eviction notices, title reports, and every text from mom and stepdad. It felt cathartic, almost ritualistic. The next morning, I walked into the lawyer's office clutching my printed chain of title report and that half-signed deed. The attorney, sharp, mid-40s, with wire-rimmed glasses, spent the first 10 minutes asking me for background, then leaned back and said, "Legally, you're in a fantastic position. You own the property. There's no recorded transfer. But there's a wrinkle." My heart skipped. "What wrinkle?" I asked. He tapped the half-signed deed. "This could be admissible evidence of intent, but it's not proof of transfer. However, if stepdad tried to forge your mother's signature to mortgage or sell, that opens a criminal avenue, fraud." I stared at him. "You mean I could press charges?" He nodded. "But you'd have to prove he attempted to file it." My mind raced. Did I want to see my stepfamily behind bars? A part of me felt vindicated at the thought, but another part recoiled at the damage it'd do to mom. That afternoon, as I walked to my car, I thought back to another comment that said, "Be careful. If you go scorched earth, you risk permanent family estrangement." I realized I'd been so focused on my legal high ground that I hadn't considered the personal cost. I paused outside the law office and made a decision. I'd asked the lawyer to draft a cease and desist letter first, give them a chance to vacate voluntarily before I filed anything. It was less dramatic, but it felt more me. When I got home, I drafted the letter in Microsoft Word, outlining my ownership, the eviction's illegality, and a 14-day window to leave before I'd seek a court order. Then, I hesitated. Another commenter had warned, if you send a letter, serve it properly. Certified mail with return receipt. I printed 2 copies, signed them, and took them to the post office. As I watched the clerk stamp certified in bright red ink, I felt a strange mixture of relief and dread. 2 days later, I got a text from Mom. "I got your letter. We need to talk." My heart lurched. Was she finally ready to negotiate? Or was this a trap? I arranged to meet her at the old neighborhood cafe, the one with the blue awning where we used to have pancakes every Sunday. Sitting across from her, I watched the lines on her face. Worry, guilt, something unreadable. She started. I didn't know what else to do. "Your stepdad was losing his job, the bills piled up, and I panicked." Her voice cracked. "I never wanted to hurt you." My throat tightened. I wanted to shout, to accuse, to make her feel the betrayal. But then I remembered a comment that said, "Empathy can be your secret weapon. Sometimes they'll crumble if they see you're hurt, not just angry." So I took a breath and said, "I understand it's been hard. But that house is my home, too." She looked at me, tears welling. "I've been trying to fix things. I spoke to an estate lawyer. There's a way to set up a co-ownership agreement. You'd get a fair share of equity, and we could work out a payment plan for the improvements stepdad made." My pulse quickened. Was this genuine, or just a stall? I nodded slowly. "I'll consider it, but I need everything in writing. No more surprises." Mom pulled out her phone and said she'd email the draft by the end of the week. We hugged awkwardly, and I left feeling lighter than I had in months. But as I drove away, a gnawing doubt crept in. What had she told stepdad? Was he gearing up for a counterattack? Later that evening, I logged back onto Reddit to share the update. "Met with Mom," I wrote. "She's proposing co-ownership. Should I trust her?" Within minutes, responses flooded in. Never trust stepdad. Get it in writing and involve your lawyer. Make sure to verify the new lawyer's credentials. And don't sign anything without a clause that voids the agreement if they breach it. I realized I needed a checklist, a bulletproof contract outline. So I opened a fresh Word doc and began listing every possible clause: buyout options, maintenance responsibilities, default penalties. It felt like building a fortress around my future. But then came the twist I never saw coming. 2 nights ago, I got a knock on the door. Standing there was a middle-aged man in a crisp suit, holding a folder stamped with the county seal. "Mr. Blake," he asked, "I'm the executor of your late uncle's estate. He left you a surprising bequest." My uncle? He died years ago, and I hadn't heard anything about an estate. He handed me the folder and left without another word. Inside, I found my uncle's will and a separate document, a deed transferring a small parcel of land adjacent to our house to me. It was dated 5 years ago, but I'd never been told. That land contained a hidden well on our property, a well that, if activated, could supply water to the entire neighborhood. In dry summers, that well would be worth a small fortune. My mind reeled. Not only did I own the house, I now owned the water rights to that property. I sat on my couch, the will and deed spread before me, and felt a surge of power unlike anything I'd experienced. This wasn't just a fight to reclaim my childhood home. It was an opportunity to reshape the future of that property entirely. If I developed the well, I could turn it into a community asset or sell the rights to a developer. Suddenly, the stakes were much higher. But with great power comes even greater complexity. Should I spring this on mom and stepdad, or use it as leverage in negotiations? One commenter had predicted, if you have a trump card, don't reveal it too soon. Keep your enemies guessing. Another warned, but don't let it sit too long. You'll need permits and legal clearances. I realized I needed a specialist, someone in water rights law, to assess the feasibility. So I spent the next morning researching water rights attorneys in our county and scheduled a consultation for next Tuesday. Now, I'm at a crossroads. The cease and desist letter is en route, the co-ownership proposal is pending, and the well rights hang in the balance. I've got legal advisors lined up for 3 different facets of this battle: property, estate, and water rights. I feel like a general preparing for a 3-front war. The adrenaline is intense, but so is the fear of misstep. When I left off, I had 3 legal fronts moving at once: the cease and desist letter in the mail, mom's co-ownership proposal pending, and water rights talk scheduled. I braced myself for a whirlwind. What I didn't expect was how quickly the storm would hit. 2 days after our cafe meeting, Mom emailed me the draft co-ownership agreement. My heart thumped as I opened the PDF. It was impressively thorough. Clear buyout clauses, maintenance schedules, dispute resolution steps. Everything I'd brainstormed after that Reddit commenter advised me to build a fortress with your contract. But buried in Section 4 was a clause I hadn't written. Owner A may not unilaterally alter water rights agreements without Owner B's consent. My stomach dropped. Had Mom, or worse, stepdad, inserted that to block me from developing the well? I called my property lawyer, who confirmed my suspicion. That clause was designed to hamstring me. "They're covering their bases," she said. "If you sign this, you lose leverage on the well." I realized I'd walked into a trap. I replied to Mom with redlined changes, deleting the suspect clause and adding a sunset provision on any amendments. All terms here expire if not mutually renewed within 5 years. Then I forwarded it to her with a polite note. "Let me know if you'd like to discuss any points in person." While I waited for Mom's response, I met with the water rights attorney. She was a no-nonsense former environmental engineer who greeted me with, "So, you own a secret well. Let's make it your ace in the hole." She explained that activating the well would require a permit, environmental impact studies, and possibly community hearings, months of work. But she also mentioned something I hadn't known. Neighboring homeowners had unofficially tapped into that same aquifer for decades. If I moved fast, I could file for a senior water use right, effectively giving me control over who could drill or tap in the entire subdivision. My pulse raced. This wasn't just about me, it was about protecting the neighborhood from overdevelopment. A commenter had said, "Turn your battle into a community win," and now I saw how. I drafted a plan. I'd apply for the permit in my name, then propose a homeowners association agreement that designated me as the official water rights steward. that would make me indispensable and untouchable. Just as I was finalizing the plan, I got a text from Stepdad. We need to talk. Now, my blood ran cold. He insisted on meeting at the house itself, no cafe this time. I arrived to find him pacing on the front porch, arms folded. Mom stood behind him, looking strained. He didn't waste time. We know about the well, he said, voice low. And we know about the deeds. My jaw dropped. How? He held up his phone. Your mom told me everything. She's been consulting me on this. My stomach twisted. Mom had blindsided me, colluding with him behind my back to neutralize my leverage. I realized that while I was drafting contracts and filing paperwork, they were strategizing too. I felt the heat rising in my chest, rage, betrayal, disbelief. You set me up, I whispered. That clause was your idea. Stepdad shrugged. We're a family now. You either play ball or get left behind. In that moment, I remembered another Reddit comment. When they show their cards, it's time to flip the table. So I took a deep breath and laid out my hand. I pulled the title report from my jacket and slid it across the hood of my car. I own this property, I said evenly. And I own the water rights too. You're welcome to a buyout offer. Market value for half the equity in the house and the well rights. Otherwise, I'll file for exclusive water use seniority and seek full control. Mom's face crumpled. Stepdad's jaw tightened. I felt the power shift in that instant. I wasn't a pawn. I was the king. That evening, I drafted my formal buyout proposal. Fair market value for half the house based on a recent appraisal, plus a lump sum payment to release any claim to the well rights. I included a deadline 7 days and served it via certified mail. Then I posted an update on Reddit. I played my hand. Now let's see if they call my bluff. By day 3, Mom called. Her voice trembled as she said, I'm sorry. We got scared. We thought you'd cut us out completely. I listened as she apologized, admitting she'd been overwhelmed by Stepdad's financial stress and panicked. I told her the buyout terms were non-negotiable but fair. She asked if we could draft a payment plan instead of lump sum. I agreed, on the condition that all payments be escrowed with our lawyer and that any missed payment reverts full ownership to me. On day 5, the signed agreement arrived, Mom's signature in shaky ink, Stepdad's signature beside it. Relief washed over me. I'd won the war without a courtroom battle. And as for the well rights, I filed the permit application the next morning, naming myself as the senior rights holder and inviting the community association to partner on sustainable management. I even posted the application notice on the local HOA bulletin. Another user's suggestion to use public accountability paid off. Now, I sit in my home office, back inside the house, with the heat on and the weekend uninterrupted, reflecting on how close I came to losing everything. I've set up the escrow account, signed the HOA agreement for the well, and met with an environmental engineer to begin testing. Mom and I have scheduled family dinners again, though there's a new respect and distance between us. Stepdad stays cordial but keeps his distance. I learned that sometimes you have to fight like hell for what's rightfully yours, but also that holding an olive branch can be the most powerful move. To everyone who followed my journey and offered wisdom, document everything, use your leverage, turn pain into purpose, thank you. You helped me transform a betrayal into a blueprint for empowerment. This isn't just my victory, it's ours.